How's that? There it is. There it is. Apologies, as always. Wouldn't be the Stratosphere Lounge without something like this happening at the beginning. I'll tell you what it is. It's actually the Ustream producer program. Once you do one little tiny thing and you make any changes, it wants a reboot, and I didn't reboot it. I brought a lot of pictures in because we got a lot of stuff to show you. And as you know, we are live and recording Stratosphere Lounge episode X on account of it not being a regular Stratosphere Lounge at all. It's a special, one-of-a-kind kind of a special sort of a Stratosphere Lounge. And we got a lot of fun things to talk to you about today, so I'm going to leap right into it because we really don't have a whole lot of time tonight. Got a lot of great announcements to make, and want to keep this one kind of short. One of the reasons we have so little time tonight is that I'm packing together the rest of the stuff I'm going to need for a fundraiser I'm doing up in Reno, Nevada tomorrow. A big one. It's a big one. And we're going to have a lot of fun out there, so I've got all kinds of videos that I'm packing up and trying to get together. But we do have real special news tonight, so we thought we'd maybe just get right to it and tell you what's been going on. We've been teasing this a little bit because there's so much to tease and so much work going on behind the scenes with any number of people that we wanted to give you guys the sneak peek. That'd be the 331 people are watching live right now on Ustream, which is a big number. And then we'll put it up on YouTube tomorrow and get it up on the Facebook page. So, man, a drink of water and off we go. The reason we wanted to make this announcement on the Stratosphere Lounge is because of you guys, because of the Strato Loungers. Of all the people that I get to interact with, you guys are the ones who I seem to see the most, and certainly the ones that mean the most to me. So what we wanted to do was get you guys sort of a big what a big mic I have. Somebody just said, want to get you guys the advanced notice, much advanced notice as we can. The actual physical announcement will be on September 28th. That's about 10 days from now, so we want to tell you what we're doing. Here's the news. We're going to be launching a website, and it's going to be billwhittle.com. Now, that may not sound like much right now, but we're going to be doing so much with this website that it's really going to be worth the wait. Let me just tell you how we got to this place, first of all. We had some marketing guys do some looking into the situation as we started to get the sense of moving up in the world. We really wanted to just sort of push this message out because we've been doing what we've been doing for a couple years now, and it's been really successful, far more successful than I ever dreamed it could be. But after the election in November, we began to realize, all of us together who work on this, and you guys too, that we could probably do a lot more, and we could get a lot further and get a lot further out there and do more good and move the cultural needle all across the culture. So I looked into some marketing guys to take a look at my work and how things were working, and here's what they said to me. It was really interesting. The first thing they said was, well, Bill, we've looked into your metrics and everything. You do a show called Afterburner. You do a show called Firewall. You do a show called the Stratosphere Lounge. You're the virtual president. You do a show called Trifecta. Do you know what these 5 things have in common? And I said, no, what do they have in common? And they said, none of them have your name on it. I thought, wasn't that interesting? As it turns out, there's a lot of people who see a one-off video like the Trayvon Martin video or the 3.5 Days Afterburner or something like that. So people hear about that and they think, swell. And then they don't know how to find me because Afterburner goes up on PJTV's YouTube channel. Firewalls go up on mine, so does Stratosphere Lounge. And so the problem is that no one who sees the virtual presidency knows anything about Afterburners. People who see the Afterburners don't know anything about the Stratosphere Lounge. Stratosphere Lounge, well, you guys know about everything. But you see how it works. So the first thing they said was you need to put everything in one place. And I thought, what do we want? We want some kind of, I want to call it like, Strato TV. They said, no, call it billwhittle.com because that way people will know how to find you. And so, I guess it makes sense. It's glennbeck.com and rushlimbaugh.com and coulter.com and all that other stuff. So that's the first of it. But if it were just a name change, it really wouldn't mean anything. We're going to fundamentally redo the way that we do everything. As a result of some money that I was able to raise for the virtual presidency, for the first time in my life, I've had some resources, had actual resources. And because of these resources, it's allowed me to do a bunch of things. So let me tell you what's going to basically happen over at BillWhittle.com. A week from tonight, a week from yesterday, so next Wednesday, we should have the website up for a beta test, which will be for the Stratoloungers only. Right now, if you go to BillWhittle.com, you can sign up for an email list, and I wish you would, because we'll start pushing the preliminary emails out there in advance. But the essence of BillWhittle.com is it's going to be a subscription-based website. And many of you, needless to say, are wondering, well, we already have a subscription-based website, and it's called Declaration Entertainment. And what's really happening is Declaration Entertainment is becoming BillWhittle.com. It's not exactly correct, but that's probably a pretty good way to think of it. And let me explain to you why this is happening, because this is the most important thing. Before I get into all the stuff we're going to do, this is the most important thing I really do need to say. So many of you out there have been Declaration Entertainment citizen producers for years now, years. And we, all of us together, have been able to stay in business and stay in the fight because of the citizen producers at Declaration Entertainment. Now, as you know, the idea of Declaration Entertainment was to have citizen producers put together enough of a subscriber base to go out and make feature films. And the problem is that even using the incredible advances that we have with computers and the revolution in cameras and so on, feature films are fantastically expensive. And so looking back on the last couple, 3 years, what we found is that we took all of our Declaration Entertainment members were paying for things like firewall in the initial years, but they did in fact get a feature film made. Jeremy Boring went out and made a tremendous movie called The Arroyo, which I know you know about. We've been talking about for quite a long time. Now, that film is done, mixed, done, finished, authored, ready to go. And the reason that you haven't seen the release announcement yet is because Jeremy has some private people that he has to help get out of it. And the distribution market has just fallen apart lately. But Declaration Entertainment has done what we said we would do, which is produce a feature film, and it's a darn good one too, written and directed by Jeremy Boring, and we'll be seeing that in the very near future, genuinely in the very near future, because these deals are pretty much getting inked now. But first of all, let me just say this to those of you who are or have been members of Declaration Entertainment. Even for those of you who've been members of Declaration Entertainment and may not be anymore, when we talked about making this move, the first thing that Jeremy and I agreed on was that I shouldn't be using that cup. Was that I shouldn't be using this one either. Was that if you were one of those people who stayed with us and basically had your card charged for years when we were really just amassing the money to make that movie, if you are or have been at any time a member of Declaration Entertainment, you're going to get a copy of The Arroyo. It's a film about what happens on the border, and it is an actual honest-to-God feature film. Jeremy Boring went out and shot it, and there's a scene right after the initial opening hook in the movie where a guy comes riding out of the sunrise on the plains of Arizona on a horse, and if that doesn't look like every Western I've ever seen on the big screen, you can just take me out and beat me up. It's spectacular. It's really very, very, very good. And so when we talk about making this transition from Declaration Entertainment to BillWhittle.com, the first thing we want to say is thanks to all of our citizen producers, those of you who are still with us, those of you who were with us at one point. We're going to deliver to you what we said we would do, which is get you a feature film. But here's the metrics of why we're making the change. The bottom line is that the number of subscribers we have and are likely to get is not enough to do feature films on enough of a regular basis to constantly give you guys the kind of updates we thought. So the short form is, what we did was we set up a company to make feature films upon the back of which we did political video content. And what we're going to do now is we're going to change that around. We're going to do political video content, and from the money that we raise doing that, we're going to develop feature films among the many other things we do. But we do have a subscriber base within reach to do things. If we were to concentrate more on the political web-based stuff, we have the subscriber base to do remarkable things. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, especially my core friends, Stratoloungers. I want to talk to you about what this website's going to be and what's going to happen with your subscription. If you're a subscriber to Declaration Entertainment right now, when we make the actual announcement and we actually move the site over, We're going to cancel all of those recurring subscriptions because it strikes us as the honest thing to do, and we will give you a chance to subscribe to BillWhittle.com or not, as the case may be. But we are going to make some remarkable changes here at BillWhittle.com, and we're going to take the subscriber money and get into the political fight all across the spectrum in ways that we have never, ever been able to do before. So let me tell you a few things about what's coming. First of all, the first thing that's coming is going to be daily content. I'm going to be getting up every morning and writing a couple of paragraphs for whatever first thing I see on Drudge, and that manages to tee me off a little bit. That'll be the first thing that'll happen. So there'll be daily political written content, which would be nice, because I know that helps build readership and helps build audience. We're going to continue the Firewall series, so that'll be happening. We've got the virtual presidency and made an enormous leap with that, which I'll show you about in just a few moments. We've got a bunch of other things too, so let's just kind of walk through what the BillWhittle.com website's going to be providing pretty much on a daily or weekly basis. We expect that we'll be doing, we have shot about a week ago. I guess I'll do it in this order because it's probably the most fun order. We shot back on the 20... Golly, I didn't remember the date anymore. I want to say it was about the 23rd or something. No, 18th, somewhere back in there, a couple weeks ago. We went out and rented a studio, and we rented the actual prop of the Resolute desk that was used in The West Wing, which I find to be tremendous irony. Now, the picture you're looking at now is something I just kind of roughed out just to give us a look. So we went out and rented a studio for a full day with all of these props, a crew of about 15 people. It was an expensive day. So what we did on that expensive day was we went out there and we shot this. We brought enough practical props into the room so that I had physical things to interact with. I had an actual table, I had blotter, I had paper, I had a bust of George Washington. The Resolute desk, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that desk is unbelievably big. You can play tennis on that desk. And when Barack Obama sits there and there's nothing on it, it just is a mystery to me, because we saw his last Oval Office address and there was nothing on the desk, and I thought, man alive, how can you not have anything on the desk? So because of the resources that we've gotten for the virtual presidency, and because of the kind of things that we'd like to be doing with the subscriber base at BillWhittle.com, the difference between this and feature films is that we can take stuff like this. We did 11 segments. Now, when we did the What We Believe series for conservatism a couple years ago, when we first launched Declaration Entertainment, we did What We Believe over the space of about 7 or 8 weeks. We'd shoot it, and then we'd shoot another one, then we'd shoot another one, put them together into a DVD, and the hair was always different, the lighting was always different. We're kind of learning how to do all this stuff. But we decided this time that we wanted to shoot something as a DVD. So we went out to the studio, and in one afternoon on the set again, we shot 11 virtual presidency segments. And they're all part of a series called Your Government. And the opening premise of the first episode is, my fellow Americans, either the government belongs to you or you belong to the government. You can't have it both ways. It's not your government anymore, and it should be, and here's how we'll get it back. So what we did was, with a number of different changes of ties, and some are day-lit and some are night-lit, we did 11 episodes. One on legislation, one on foreign policy, one on defense, one on, on basically on everything needed to get the country back. And because of the assets that we have now, we were able to take what is essentially web content and hire some feature film type people, and they were able to turn that into this. And I have to tell you, I have no memory of being in that office, but I look at this picture and I'm simply flabbergasted. I'm absolutely flabbergasted and amazed, because this is what you get when you work in Hollywood and you can afford to hire some of the best people in the business. So the very first thing that we're going to be doing out of BillWhittle.com will be releasing every week opposite Afterburner at PJTV. I'll be staying at PJTV doing Afterburner. Every week opposite Afterburner, we're going to release another one of these 11 series called Your Government. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be free. But if you decide to become a subscriber at BillWhittle.com, you'll get the entire Your Government DVD delivered the second it's done, which should be by the middle or end of October. You'll get all 11 episodes right away. Otherwise, 11 episodes get us to March. So, I have to tell you, I've been in show business all my life, and I've been working on other people's projects all my life. But when I look at this video, when I look at this particular still picture, which is from the first one that we did called Legislation, it's the first frame of a 7-8 minute video on legislation, where basically I say, as your president, I will not sign any, as your virtual president, I will not sign any legislation that is not written in plain English, that is not that has any other riders attached to it that don't have anything to do with the bill, and any legislation that is longer than the Constitution of the United States at 4,400 words. It will come in shorter than the Constitution, or I will veto it out of hand, because if we can't understand our own legislation, it's not a republic. It's not ruled by the people. And these are the kind of things that this virtual presidency DVD series will be about. And I look at this still, which was done by a fellow named Bradley Morrow, who was the compositor on Spider-Man. And I got to tell you, it just takes the wind out of me. It just takes the wind out of me. I look at this picture and I think, I cannot remember being in that office. I wasn't in that office. I was in that office. And top quality compositors have given us a level of video production we've never had before. My understanding is, with some of the marketing people, that we've got actually a pretty good chance to get these on foxnews.com. I don't have that on paper, but I've got that on good authority. If that starts at foxnews.com, we will suddenly see an explosion of 2 order magnitude increase in our audience, I suspect. And I have to tell you, I am so proud of the technical quality of this work, as you can see, and I'm very, very proud of the content. I'm very proud. Jeremy Boring did a pass on the script. A friend of mine named Owen Brennan, who was a producer at PJTV, was a staff writer for Giuliani, did a pass. We made them sound presidential, look presidential. Jeremy, in his wisdom, got me out of my skinny ties and got me into red power ties with a pin. I look like the president, sound like the president, act like the president. And Your Government will be a DVD, which will also include the virtual inaugural. It'll also include the virtual State of the Union speech on guns, all that other stuff that did so well. And that'll be one of the benefits of becoming a subscriber. You'll get that entire DVD right away. So as far as the virtual presidency goes, we put in the bank 11 episodes, 6 months worth of content released every other week. That means, since that's in the bank, that we now have the cycles, the brain cycles, to do firewalls again. There's a place in between Afterburners and virtual presidencies for firewall. Firewall is, somebody said, what's firewall? And somebody asked me once, I said, it's Afterburner without the tie. And that's exactly what it is. But Afterburner without the tie means that it gives me a chance to do some commenting on things in a different sort of way. So we will continue to have at BillWhittle.com. When you go to BillWhittle.com, there'll be a number of channel pages. You'll come to the main page, and there will be channel pages. One of those pages will be Afterburner, which will list all of the Afterburners, latest Afterburners in order. One of those channel pages will be Firewall. One of those channel pages will be Mr. Virtual President. So we'll be doing all of that. And then we're going to be doing something else as well. We're going to be, we got a bandwidth warning, which always makes my day, makes my teeth just cringe. Hopefully it's coming back. We are also going to be doing something that I think is really critically important. And that is, we're going to have the resources, for the first time ever, to produce other people's work. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the other videos that we're going to be producing, in addition to the stuff of the number of different things I do. As I said, live, we got regular written daily content every day. Firewalls will continue. Virtual President segments, 11 of them in the bank, so every other week there'll be one of those. So in addition to my videos, there's going to be other videos that we're going to produce as well. For an absolute certain fact, we're going to start producing videos for young people. Because after I got out of that David Horowitz speech back in November, where I said, here's what Romney should have done, break every window in Benghazi speech, I went out and spoke every week for 6 months, and every single person that I spoke to said, we have to do something about getting young Americans back. We have to. We have to. Excuse me. Now, I understand how to message things, But I'm not 18 years old. I look it, I know. No, I'm not 18 years old. I'm 54. And a 54-year-old guy in a suit standing in front of a white wall is not going to reach young Americans. I thought maybe I could, not directly, but I thought maybe I could write for people. And then I started working with somebody who I met in CPAC in 2010 when she was 15. And that's my friend Lyda Loudon. Lyda is a wonder. She's a wonder. And a fearless person. As a 14-year-old kid, being out there just speaking in front of people is hard. Being a conservative and a torchbearer for the movement is impressive. This particular still you're looking at right now is from a shoot we did on Friday out in Venice Beach. So while I would start thinking about talking to young people about economics, and I'd think about talking to them about small government and all this other stuff, what I found was, no, those are all assumptions that I make because I'm 54 years old. Talking to Lyda, I find out that the first thing we have to do if we're going to talk to young people is we have to get rid of all these terms, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, all has to go away. They don't want to hear it. They don't care. They don't like argument. They don't like confrontation. So Lyda's first videos are about open-mindedness and about curiosity. So for the curiosity video, we went out to Venice Beach, and we shot Lyda interviewing people about whether or not they thought a heavy object would fall faster than a lighter object. If you took an 8-pound weight and a 2-pound weight and dropped them from the same height, which would fall faster, the heavy one or what? What do you think? And we asked a lot of people out on Venice Beach this question, and most of them got it wrong. Most people thought the heavy object would fall faster than the fact that they both fall at the same rate. It's counterintuitive. And Lyda's entire point then was to say, well, if this was wrong, if you thought that they would, the common sense thing would be that the heavy one falls faster, but if it doesn't, what else do you think might be something that you believe that maybe isn't true? What else do you think you're taking for granted? What other things do you think a little bit of curiosity would help on? And when she outlined this for me, I began to realize the genius of this young lady, and I began to realize the genius of hiring young people to speak to young people. Because Lyda understands that the first step in reaching young people is to get them to open their mind to the entire idea, not only of conservatism, but the entire idea of external reality is really remarkable for them. And so her first video is about open-mindedness. Her second one's about curiosity. It's her on the beach in Venice talking to people. It's not me or her in front of a white wall. And it's very, very effective. And time again, I would make a suggestion, and I just realized, no, I'm just stepping on a landmine. We don't do that. So with your subscription to BillWhittle.com, we feel like we've got a chance to really reach young Americans in a way that they will hear. Because everybody knows it's important, and nobody is willing to do it. No one's willing to talk to the people that can actually do it. Because this works really well for disaffected conservatives who do not feel like anybody speaks for them. But if you're 18 years old, you don't want to see this. You want to see this. You want some attitude. You want some personality. You want some sass, some sarcasm. And by the way, having been an 18-year-old myself once, having somebody this drop-dead gorgeous on our team doesn't hurt either. Doesn't hurt with the young men, and her sense of style and clothing and dress and coolness doesn't hurt with young women either. So if you're going to reach young people, why not get young people? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it right. We're going to try and move the cultural needle all across the board. And that's one of many things that a subscription for BillWhittle.com will buy you. I'll buy some more videos for young people with my friend Lyda Loudon. Downstream, there's a chance we could bring some of our other friends into the mix too. If we can get enough people on board, we can bring our buddy Andrew Clavin back and other people back. And who knows, maybe we can do a number of different things. One of the shows that we're going to produce once we launch the new website, on the sign-up page, it's called the Bat Cave. I just threw that out on the spur of the moment. I think I might call it Cavemen in the Man Cave, or I might call it Stratosphere Lounge V2. Because one of the things we're going to do is we're going to get a nice location, and we're going to get your friend Bill Whittle and maybe your friend Andrew Clavin or Michael Walsh or Alfonso Rachel or Jeremy Boring or Lyda Loudon or any number of your conservative friends, and we're going to put them in a really nice, warm, inviting, homey environment, and we're going to get liquored up. And we're going to sit around and we're going to talk for an hour or two behind the scenes about politics the way that we normally talk about politics. And I think there's a step between what we're doing now, this Stratosphere Lounge, and the main Stratosphere Lounge, which is an actual honest-to-God stand-up talk show like The Tonight Show used to be with Johnny Carson. And I think there's a world maybe where we'll call it that, or maybe we'll call it something else. I'm not sure yet. But in any event, your friends, the pundits, the people that you admire, the people you like to talk to, Glenn Reynolds whenever he gets into town, all these guys, but not doing our thing like we're doing our thing now. Doing our thing the way that you probably be interested in hearing us talk. Because when we get together and talk politics, we just sit down and talk politics. We have a bunch of beers, and some of us have single malt scotches, and some of us don't. And we talk politics, and we thought that would be interesting. So once a month, we'll shoot that show. We'll invite you down to come down and be in the audience if you want to. We'll have a lot of laughs, really lighthearted. Probably going to have to do some beeping, some audio censorship in there too. We're going to kick back, relax, talk politics, name names, call names, have fun, tease, grab ass kind of thing, snap some towels at each other. And then probably we'll all hit it and take a shower afterwards. Not in a gay way or anything, just like a couple of Vikings, like Viking commentators on the conservative side of the spectrum. Now, nice thing about that is if you shoot that show for 2 hours, you get 2.5 hour conversation. And then you can break out of that. This is what I used to do for a living on shows like Sunday Morning Shootout. You break out a 10-minute segment or a 15-minute segment or a 6-minute segment. We'll talk about the NSA this week, or the conversation drifts over to Benghazi. We talk about that. I think that'll be interesting. And if we can get the subscriber base up there, then that's something we can afford to do easily. And it's continual weekly content for subscribers at the new website. So in addition to the shows that we're already doing, we're going to be doing some live videos. We are on the cusp of being able to do shows with your friends behind the scenes. Certainly we have them out here. And have special guests too. We might be able to get our celebrities out there. Maybe get our friend John Voight one night, or get somebody else. People who make interesting conversation. I think that would really be a lot of fun, and I think it'd be a lot of fun for you to come down and watch it if you're in the LA area. And frankly, if you're not in the LA area, it'd be fun for you to come down and watch. We may even run contests. It's certainly as a means to keep the subscription base up and to make people happy. Maybe we'll just send you guys some airline tickets to LA and you can come out for a taping. That's one of the many things that we've been talking about doing. So that's another show that we've got in the pipeline that we plan to do. So now let's talk about a couple of other things that are really interesting to me, and I know they're interesting to you too, because when we talk about merging Declaration Entertainment into this, we're not going to give up on the movies. It's just that we're going to take the subscription money, and rather than build it up over the space of 2 years to spend it on one movie, which is what we did with the Arroyo, we're going to produce a lot of content and keep the shelves active. Speaking of shelves, by the way, I don't know if it'll be there on opening on Saturday. I'm quite sure it will be. But we're going to have a great deal of merchandise. We're going to have a Stratosphere Lounge line of merchandise, a BillWhittle.com line of merchandise, a Virtual President line of merchandise, each with different logos, different colors, and different looks. And we'll have coffee mugs and bumper stickers and T-shirts and fleeces and all that stuff. And all of those will be gifts, depending on the level of membership. If you decide to subscribe, and if you want to just buy 1 or 2 or 20, you can buy those too. But the DVD of your government, again, I just have to show this one more time because I love it so much. That's going out to anybody who subscribes to get the whole thing right in advance instead of having to wait the 6 months it's going to take to get all 11 episodes on the air every other week. So there's that. So I don't want to make this too long. I want to make it a little bite-sized for people to be able to watch and share. So let's talk about just a couple other things that we're going to continue to do with BillWhittle.com, and that is to continue to develop 2 movies. One of them you know about, the other one you don't. The one you know about is this one. Using the resources that we've gotten for the virtual presidency, because I'm banking pretty heavily on being able to get subscriber revenues. And by the way, bring in Dwight Schultz, Wild Goose. Dwight Schultz is going to be at those, as you know, we have a comment section that runs live. Dwight Schultz is not only going to be at those Man Cave episodes, but Dwight Schultz is going to be in this movie that you're looking at right now, Aurora, and he's going to be in the other one I'm going to talk about in a minute. Dwight Schultz, one of my favorite guys in the world. But let's get back to this picture here. For I don't know, almost 10 years now. I've been working on this Aurora movie. I started on it in 2005, and I had an untextured model of the ship, which I think I've shown you, like this. I've had these untextured models since. And now we can begin to flesh out the Aurora model. Now, this is not finished yet at all. It's not close to being finished, but it's getting closer. So I think I might have shown you that one, but I don't think I've shown you guys these two. These are the latest test renders that just came in the last couple days. That's kind of evocative and kind of cool. Rear view with the lighting. It's a little hard to see, I know, on the web, but it's kind of nice. And I've got one here that I like an awful lot too. Give you a sense of the realism of the vehicle. And when we took this to a guy who works on feature films for a living, texture modeler for many big projects, he said this is without question the most detailed model he's ever worked with, and it certainly is a 2 million polygon model. So already you can see that we're making some real progress on the visuals on this. And here's the beautiful thing, you see, once that model is textured, it's never been textured. It's an enormous amount of work, and it's not inexpensive to do. But once the model is textured, the actual rendering is relatively straightforward. The frames take a lot of time, but I have a very powerful computer here at home, and I leave it every night when I go home. And so we'll be able to set up sizzle reel shots of Aurora in Earth orbit, Aurora approaching Jupiter, Aurora as it gets close to the comet. And also the subscription money allows us to do things like to keep the production company running, go out there and get the actual $7-8 million it's going to cost to do this movie. And that's a long time at the citizen producer level. So again, rather than using your subscriptions to fund the feature film, what we're going to do is we're going to use your subscriptions, assuming we can convince you to re-up, to fund the production company that will produce all of the political videos we just talked about and continue to develop these, so then we can go out with the sizzle reel and with the stills and with everything we need, raise private money for the main budget, put together the deal, get the film made. Now, Aurora is a big movie, and it costs a lot of money. It's a big cast, got a lot of things happening. And so, again, Jeremy Boring's suggestion to me was you should do something easier that you can do sooner and shorter and quicker. And grand idea. We were able to buy a camera called the Red for the virtual presidency thing that gives us the means to go out and shoot feature film quality. They shoot everything on the Red. The Hobbit shot on the Red, and Spider-Man shot on the Red. Everything's shot on the Red. We own one now, which is one of the reasons why the virtual presidency stuff looks so good. So before Aurora sees the light of day or night, as the case may be, the light of the darkness in orbit above the Earth there, we're going to do another movie. And I'd had an idea back in about 2000 for a sci-fi horror movie. And I didn't have a name for it, but I had an idea. And the idea was, I can't give you too much of this just because I don't want to lose the copyright issues, but the idea was that there was an alien invasion, and instead of aliens coming to Earth and invading the Earth directly and walking out of a spaceship, they would come in a very small little spaceship about the size of a baseball, and they would conquer the Earth by basically transforming us into them. They would basically make us into them. I thought that was a really neat idea. And 10 years after I had the idea, a couple months ago, went and started to develop this idea. And so I think we'll be shooting this in the winter or the early spring, January, February. I've decided to do a movie called Big Bat Problems, and it's a horror movie and it's a sci-fi movie. But it's also kind of lighthearted. And I teased some artwork on the Facebook page a couple weeks ago, and here are some of the preliminary sketches I got back. This is first round sketches of what these things transform us into. They transform us into creatures that look like giant bats. They're not real bats, obviously. But the entire movie is about a group of people who come into contact with these things and lose loved ones, and they form a little private army, and they go around the country using their own weapons and their own tech and their own drones and their own everything, fighting an all-powerful government, and a government that spies on you using the cameras on your computer, and that shoots American citizens with drones. And this ragtag group of people basically pursue these bats and destroy them, and there's a giant battle royale at the end. So one of the great things we've been able to do with the resources, and expect to continue to do with your subscription resources, is to continue to develop this idea, get the thing funded and shot quickly. I actually genuinely think we'll be shooting this in this January. Those of you who have any idea of a great location, you might want to look up a place called Bombay Beach. It's in the Salton Sea, not far from where I live, out in Palm Springs. Great ending location there. So this was an initial sketch from an artist that we were able to hire, actually able to go out and, with some resources, hire an artist. And here's a couple of others that I'm just going to give you a glance of just real quick. You can see that what these creatures do is they infect us with these little nanobots, and they start turning us into them. And I wasn't real happy with this particular head because it looks a bit like Tweety Bird. But I did like the idea of a big bulge on their forehead like a beluga whale, because they're echolocators. They use sonar. And so we did a little bit of refinement, and we ended up with this for a head study. It's white because he actually stripped the skin away so he could kind of mesh out how he wanted the skull to look. This is not final yet, but we're getting closer. And I'm going to do something that's a little bit nasty, but I'm going to show you very quickly the latest drawing we got. And the reason I'm going to show it to you so quickly is it's getting very close to what I want. I don't want it out there any longer than it needs to be. But basically, these things are going to turn human beings into something that looks quite a lot like that. And our human beings, our regular human beings with a cast of Hollywood conservatives, are going to go around the country chasing those things down and killing them. And they're going to take some losses, and they're going to have a blast. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's fun. It's funny. It's interesting. It's cool. And it's inexpensive. It's a handful of people in the Southwest running around, and there you go. So the subscriptions from BillWhittle.com will allow us to continue to do this artwork, and the artwork is important because when you go to sell these movies, you really want to have enough material so that the people who are thinking about taking a financial risk on you realize that you know what you're doing and that you are capable. If you execute the simple things in advance, if your creatures look good and if your artwork is good, then they have confidence that the movie will turn out the same way. One of the things that we're going to be doing on BillWhittle.com is a lot of the background stuff that we talked about. So the very first conversation I had with the artist who did the drawings you just saw was about a half-an-hour conversation where we talked about their mechanics, talked about them being real creatures. We don't want them to be demonic creatures. We want them to be believable creatures. We want them to have grooming habits, and we want them to interact with each other and communicate. We want to if we can convince the audience that these animals are real, then people will be scared. And if we don't, then we won't. It's really pretty much that simple. So these are one of many things that we feel that your subscription money will allow us to continue to do. I keep getting that low bandwidth warning, and it scares the daylights out of me. Yeah, we bought a nice internet, and we're still kind of stuck here. I think in broad terms, that's mostly it. That second movie is called Big Bat Problems, and it's kind of Ghostbusters meets Buckaroo Banzai meets Aliens. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Ghostbusters plus Buckaroo Banzai plus Aliens equals Big Bat Problems. And it's very inexpensive and simple to shoot. Not simple to shoot, but affordable. I feel pretty confident I can get that money between now and Christmas. And then we'll shoot the thing right away. The film is that second film in some ways is even more what's the word I'm looking for? Subversive than the first one, because this really just features a pair of brothers who own their own AR-15s, and owning your own weapons, and driving around and having your computer light go on, or having the NSA use your computer to see what you're doing. These are highly topical issues. So all of this stuff is an attempt to move everything across the needle. And that's why we wanted to tease this with you first, and that's why I've never seen this many people live, 500 people, round numbers live. And I'm going to pretty much call it a day here because I don't want to make it any longer than we can realistically share it with. But to recap, the announcement is that on September 28th, we will open BillWhittle.com as a subscription-based service. If you are or have been a member of Declaration Entertainment, you not only have our profoundest thanks, we simply wouldn't be here without you. None of these offices would exist without you specifically. Jeremy's continuing his movie work, and I think Declaration Entertainment stays as a production company. But as I say, the main thrust is, rather than doing political commentary on the back of a feature film company, we're going to do feature films on the back of a political commentary company. So what you'll be seeing on a regular basis is reactivation of Firewall. You'll be seeing these virtual presidency videos, which are already in the can, so we've got 11 of those to be released. We'll release those as a DVD for people who subscribe. You'll be able to buy the DVD in the store if you'd like. We're going to continue to do third-party videos for young people, featuring my friend Lyda Loudon and eventually maybe some other folks as well. We're going to continue to do written commentary on a daily basis. We're going to try and do a show that's a behind-the-scenes show where your favorite pundits just sit around and drink heavily and get liquored up and say what's really on their mind. And we'll continue to do our very best to maintain forward progress on Aurora, which has made more progress in the last 2 months than it had in the previous 8 years, as well as doing a little bit of work on this movie, this Big Bat Problems movie, which I think is going to be just really, really spooky and weird and fun. So that's it. That's basically it. Next week on Wednesday, we will have another special Stratosphere Lounge, and on that particular Wednesday, we will send you to a website that should be working. And I'm going to hope that my Stratolounger friends can spend 2 or 3 days being the Blue Blazer regulars and pushing all the buttons, making sure that everything works for a fairly big rollout, as big as we can make it on Saturday. And from that point forward, everything we do will be dependent on our subscriber base. If we get more subscribers, we can do more programming, and my goal is to move the needle across the entire spectrum, culturally and politically. And that's about it. So I'm going to sign off here, and just to tell you, again, as I always do, but perhaps with extra special meaning this time, that for the first time in my life ever, I've had resources. For the first time in my life, I've had resources and the means to hire people, good people, conservative people, and talented people. And we can expand the reach of what we do by doing more things and getting the things that we do seen by more people. And to the degree that we can all pull together and that I can count on your help, as I have in the past for my entire career, I think we can actually do enough good to really scare the living daylights out of these communists. I really do. We've held the fort. It's a 50-50 country politically. They're in trouble, and now we're going to start blowing up some of their crap. We're going to start parachuting into the rear of their lines and knocking off some of their convoys and blowing up some of their bridges, and that's what we're going to do. So next week, next Wednesday, Stratosphere Lounge, we'll talk again about all these things, hopefully a little more concisely. I might have some new things to show, and we'll have a website that'll work. Until then, I've got to get back to work. I've got 2 more videos I have to edit before I get on an airplane tomorrow to Reno. Those of you who might be have heard about the announcements on the website, I'm going to be at Reno tomorrow doing a fundraiser. And somebody just said, leaving PJTV. I'm not. I'm staying at PJTV, still doing Trifecta, still doing Afterburner. Those will be channel pages on the site, and we'll keep those updated. You'll get everything we do be right there. That's it. That's the latest. And I'm just as excited as I can be. I'm as happy as I could be. All the stuff that we've gotten back since we've been doing it, the level of quality has been what really has made me just deliriously happy. It's great to work with a team. It's great to work with a team that's this good. And again, you work with, people like this, and you get results like that, and you get results like this. This is what happens if we can all get together and keep pulling this wagon. So if you're interested, you go to BillWhittle.com right now as opposed to BillWhittle.net. That's kind of the legacy site. It's going to look a bit like that, be a lot more powerful. We'll have all the channels there. And if you go to BillWhittle.com right now, you can sign up for be part of the mailing list, and we'll get you notifications and opportunities before any of that other stuff happens. By the way, the very important thing I forgot to mention, one of the ongoing benefits of being a subscriber will be that you'll get a release of all the videos that we do 48 hours in advance. We're going to release it for members only 48 hours in advance. Everything will be free. Stratosphere Lounge will continue to be free. All of this stuff will go out there for free. But we have to do something for people who are parting with hard-earned money, especially in this economy. So if you are a subscriber, you will see everything that breaks 48 hours before everybody else does. That's it. That's the pitch. 45-minute show, round numbers, and I'm going to call it a night. We'll see you next Wednesday. More updates on the Facebook page between now and then. And thank you. Thank you. I was a guy with a great future behind me. And now look at what we're doing. It's just breathtaking. So we'll see you next Wednesday, and thanks for joining us, and spread the word. Bye-bye now.